Yeah, of course you're too much utopian, but the other people are too. I mean, that's what seems to me so. So what the when the in fact, it's interesting to me how it started in Madrid. So it was not groups of already formed militants, who have been active for years, who came up, who started talking about democracy. In fact, people who had not been previously politicized but became part of the encampment that proposed this notion of real democracy now, which I think to many would sound naive. Like, what do you mean real democracy? In fact, I assume that most of you or many of my friends on the left get totally annoyed with me when I say democracy because it's such a corrupt term. Like, what could you possibly mean by that? We've already shown, George Bush used to talk about democracy. And when Bush said democracy, you better start running because the bombs are certainly coming, because that's what he really meant.
Right.
And so it's sort of naive to say, no, we recognize that's not real democracy, but there really is something else. I think that is, I wouldn't even call that utopian, but I consider utopian in a good way. It seems to be a desire, a political desire that exceeds what the current political options are. So in a way, I see this functioning on two different levels. Like, on one level, this is what I would, I guess, call the utopian level, which is that on the level of our desires. Like, we want some real democracy. Like, fuck your so-called democracy, but we want, and we recognize that's corrupt and whatever, a pretense, a fake. But there is something real that we could get, that we could construct, even if we can't name it yet. So that's on one level, but the other level you're talking about, too, which functions at the same time, is very concrete and very practical. I love this idea of a direct action democracy. In a way that people who do things continue with them. That it works in a way by initiative, like you said. That seems to be really interesting. I think what's happening here and what's constantly been happening in the U.S. and Spain and in Greece, and then in different ways previously in Egypt and Tunisia, is a kind of experimentation with democracy on the very concrete, very local scale. So that those two, I see the two as sort of holding each other together. There's a super concrete, small scale experimentation with democracy, which you're doing right here, and a utopian desire or a desire for democracy on a social scale that it's carrying along, that it's carrying forward with it. And it seems to me important that the two go together, and you don't get frustrated by the inability to give someone blueprints for the new constitution of a really democratic Slovenia, but that you can enact it here on a small scale, and that can in a way lead towards the possibility of something else.